Recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. The first item on our agenda after the pledge is our weekly commission reports. And I usually start to my left over here. Mr. Dorsey, do you have some activities you want to talk about?
I do have a couple. I'm going to, on April 5 and 12, I'll be with Vicki Look for a staff briefing. April 10, Housing Coalition meeting at 1:30. April 15th will be the Lincoln Day dinner I'll be attending at 5 o'clock at the Alderbrook Golf Club. And April 17, the Mason Transit Authority Board, 4 o'clock at the Port of Allen this time. And that's all I have right now.
Thank you very much. Commissioner McDowell?
This morning I had my left board meeting, and that's law enforcement officers, firefighters, and we manage their medical bills that come through after they're retired, so we take care of them. The 5th and 12th, I will be having my briefing with Vicki, and the 16th is the joint commission with the port, the city, and the county on the water issues. And the Indian tribe?
I do not believe that they will be.
Okay, so
present for that.
it's water issues, so that'll be the 16th. And I also will be attending the Lincoln Day dinner. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just a point of clarification. I had written down the Lincoln Day dinner on the 7th of April.
It is the 7th.
What I put,
So-
I said 17th?
You
Yes.
said 15th, I think, Mr. Dorsey, and that was a mistake you made.
It is the
Yes,
7th.
so we will forgive you of that mistake. and
Let me cross that out right
yes,
now.
I did have the 7th written down, so good. Thank you very much. That's the meeting I will be attending on this Saturday night. I have staff briefings, seems like every other day. Next week, I was used to doing these things once a week, so I never really looked at the week after next for what to tell you I do. So I'll have to tell you that after I do it 2 weeks from now. So that completes our weekly commission reports. Thank you very much for your participation. Next is a general public comment period, and we welcome comments from the public. Do we have anybody signed in?
We do. We have Kat.
Just have to sign in, fill the little form in, gentlemen, if you wanted to say something.
On the table back there, as you come in the door.
Hello?
Hi, I just wanted to talk about the other marijuana retail license in the city of Shelton. It's had a lot of trouble getting open. It was originally at a location near Walmart, and unfortunately it didn't get through the planning department before the lease was expired, and had to look for a new location. It did find a new location. It's across the street from ProBuild, and it's been trying to get through the permitting department since June of 2017, and it's still having troubles. The biggest thing, this has gone through 3 different architects, and finally on the 3rd architect, it sounds like we've gotten everything that the city has asked for. We're trying to get through the planning review stages. But, one of the biggest thing is that there's other retail licenses in Mason County at large, and they're moving close to the city jurisdiction. And if those get open before your local city marijuana retailers get open, that tax revenue is going right out the door. Those commerce people are coming not just for a marijuana shop, but they're coming to eat pizza. They're coming to the parks. They're coming to get gas. They're coming in to do other things in the city. And if you're not able to let them in and get those doors open faster, those people are going to get, for lack of a better word, hooked on the other stores. And they're going to be looking for those stores, but they're going to pass by your roads, and they're going to be passing by all of your shops and other things that you're trying to get done. What we're really trying to do is get this place open. We've been trying since June, and it's been a really, really tough fight. I know that they're overwhelmed in the planning department. I know that they've had a lot of major projects going on, but it would be really nice if we can get these projects moving along and really welcome commerce in the city. A lot of these people are looking forward to this shop opening for a lot of reasons. For jobs, for tax revenue, for something to go to on that corner, besides just the Subway and the ProBuild over there. So if you can do all of us a favor and try to get some of this commerce going, it would really be helpful for this city. We want to be a part of it. We want to be productive members of this city. We want to make sure that, you know, all the dollars that can stay in the city stay here. We don't want them to just drive through the city. You guys are going to have to repair those roads and do all that stuff anyway. We might as well collect all that tax revenue. Mason County has had a really easy time at getting these licenses opened and approved. You know, this license across from ProBuild has been licensed since September of 2017, but it can't open simply because it can't get through the planning department. The sooner that we're able to get through that process, the sooner the occupancy can be issued, the doors can open. It's springtime, you know, lots of people are passing right by Highway 3. We're trying to make sure that everybody has a chance to go through there.
And I appreciate your comments, and if you're around after this meeting, I'd be happy to sit with you on one-on-one, exchange numbers and information, and see what I can do to help you.
Thank you very much, sir. I
Okay.
appreciate your time, everybody.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Yes, we have Gil Palmer.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you hearing us. I have a slip I would like to give to the council, presented from the members on 14th Street.
Thank you.
The city is right now working on Turner Avenue and going to be repaving also Holly Street. We have a section of road that's a little over 200 feet long that I've been here 31 years and I've been trying to get them to repave. Right now, the edges are broken off to the point where it's a one-way street. If you meet another car, half of your car is off in the rough and the other car is half off in the rough. Since they're going to be paving up there anyhow, every time I've asked for the city to pave it, they've said it's not economically feasible because it would take too much money to move all their equipment up there for that smaller area. Now that they're going to have their equipment there, it only makes financial sense to me to pave that small area while you've got the equipment there. And this is the petition that we have presented to the council. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. We'll read this into the record. So thank you very much for your participation. Is there anybody else?
We have no one else signed up.
Okay, thank you very much. Next is the consent agenda. Have my fellow commissioners had ample opportunity to review the material in your consent agenda?
Yes,
Okay, are we ready for a reading of the consent agenda?
yes.
Yes.
Please, could we have a reading of that agenda?
Vouchers numbered 16989 through 17091 in the amount of $324,021.13. Minutes from special business meeting of March 8th, 2018, special meeting executive session of March 12th, 2018, special meeting of March 13th, 2018, and the business meeting of March 20th, 2018.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I will make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The agenda passes.
Mr. Mayor, could we have the people speak up a little louder in their microphone? It's really hard to hear.
We can do that, and
Here or there? I mean,
No, it's.
okay.
over there, are you talking about us three here, or over there too?
Okay.
Yeah, we will endeavor to do that, thank you. Okay. That's the first time anybody said I was quiet. But anyway, thank you very much, thank you very much. I will to be a little bit bolder in what I'm saying here, so. Business agenda, item number 1. This is something that our Associate Engineer Logan Brady is going to talk to us about sidewalk cafes.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. This last summer, we did a pilot program with Smoke and Mo's over on 2nd and Railroad. We put in a sidewalk cafe, outdoor eating area on 2nd. We feel it was a success, and we wanted to bring forth this ordinance that amends the right-of-way use code to lay the groundwork for more sidewalk cafes to be permitted, and just kind of outline the process for which that's done and the ground rules that apply to it.
All right. Is there any, I have some questions and some comments. Is there any questions or
I have.
comments about this? So you want to start, Mr. Dorsey?
Sure, Logan, has there been other interest in having a sidewalk cafe?
Yeah, there were a number of other businesses that inquired when the one by Smoke and Mo's went in. We haven't heard a lot about it lately, but it is coming up on the season
Right.
when there would be interest again.
So what was not clear, what are you changing?
There was no sidewalk cafe permit before.
Okay, no ordinance or anything? nothing.
Exactly.
So you will be writing up a new one?
Yeah, it has
Yeah.
been written up.
Yep.
This is it right here, is this right?
Yep.
My question is how you, what method you used to write this up. You know, did you study some other, because it's kind of a new thing to the city of Shelton, obviously, but, you know, like downtown Seattle, they got them all over the place and stuff.
Yeah.
So how did you go about writing something like this up?
So Seattle was one of the cities we looked at. We looked at a number of smaller cities closer to our size as well, and kind of pulled from each one and the lessons that they've learned, you know, let them fine tune it, and took the best pieces of it. That's how we put it together.
I read through it and it looks, you know, good. I did have a question about the permit fee. I don't think I saw any place in here, I might have missed it, on, people do have to pay a permit fee to do this?
Yeah, it's a small, so the first time you apply, it's a $30 permit fee.
Excuse me for interrupting, but that wasn't in our information note, is it?
Yes, it is. Right here.
It's in the,
Fine print?
Yep.
Okay, sorry, my mistake. $30 first time,
yeah, and then it's a $15 renewal fee each year.
and then for the public, there's also insurance requirements, and I appreciated that, you know, so the establishment has to carry some sort of liability insurance.
Yeah, you have to carry $1 million liability insurance. There is a liability with putting things in the right-of-way, and that coverage handles that.
Does that insurance, is that beyond the insurance they have for the inside of their restaurant? Don't.
Yes,
yeah,
that
so
is an additional insurance,
additional,
yeah.
Okay.
Are there any other more questions or comments concerning this issue?
I think it's cool.
Not for me, thank you.
Okay, well, it seems like we concur it's a good idea. So, at this point, following my little briefing notes, I think what we're going to ask for is a first reading of the ordinance.
Ordinance number 1920-0418, an ordinance of the City of Shelton, Washington, amending Chapter 12.20 of the Shelton Municipal Code relating to the right-of-way use code.
And it appears the commission concurs to place this ordinance on the action agenda for April 17, 2018.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Item number 2 is going to be a presentation by our Development Director, Mark Ziegler.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. Today I'm bringing you draft contracts with 3 consulting firms to provide the city with building code services. On February 16th, the Community Development Department advertised through our MRSC rosters for consultants to provide these services, submit their qualifications by March 14th. Staff reviewed the 5 submittals that we received, ranked those 5, and we are bringing to you today the top 3 ranked consultant firms for approval. Those include Clarity Consulting, Townsend and Associates, and Code Pros. This is a supplemental building code services that will be utilized to keep permit process timelines at a reasonable level, and also assist the department with some of the larger projects that are coming through, like elementary schools, hospital facilities, things like that, that really eat up a lot of time with a one-person department, and it's really tough for our department to keep up with the residential, not only plan reviews, but also the inspection schedule that is required of our staff at this time. So these services would be utilized as an on-call basis. We would go to them when needed and when appropriate, and utilize their services based on the contract that's in front of you today.
Questions or comments for Mark Ziegler?
So you'll be using all three of these, or you'll pick one out of the three?
We'd pick them based on the job.
Okay, so you have those three available to you?
Those three are available to
Okay.
us. So they've got turnaround times, as their contract states, they have turnaround times when they would meet their plan review to us, as well as the fees. So some of their fee schedules are a little less for single-family residents than another consultant would be. So if they meet our timeline, we would certainly go to those first and give them the first opportunity to provide that plan review. For larger projects, larger commercial projects, there's some consultants that have a different pricing structure, so we certainly would look at those. That would be the most advantageous to the city at
They
that
would be
time.
handling, some of them would be handling like the new Starbucks or the McDonald's that's being built.
Potentially anything that comes across our table, yeah, in order to keep our timeframes at a
Okay.
reasonable level now.
I think it's a great idea.
Hey, Mark, as we talked today a little bit, could you explain to everyone how the costs figure out? I mean, we know that the permit fees and the plan review fees will cover, but would you explain how much, does the city get to keep some of the money?
Yeah.
Does the contractor get all of the fees?
No, they don't in any instance. Most of the consultants will charge a percentage of the fee that we are bringing in. So our excuse me, our plan review fees and our permit fees are based on evaluation chart. So depending on the cost of the actual construction, and then a per square foot fee based on that valuation. That's how we determine the plan review and the building permit fees. These consultants would charge a percentage of those fees. So in the worst case scenario, I think it's 75% at a single family residence. At the best case scenario, it's 45% in a single family residence. So we certainly would still incorporate some of those fees into our cost recovery.
What about on a big project?
Depending on, let's see, up to $5 million project, we're talking 50 to 55% is what all three consultants are falling at.
This is a process we actually do every year. I mean, don't we? We've done this before where we've had the extra staff contracts with people to help us on the big project.
Well, we've actually from 2015 into 16, early 17, we were strictly with an outside consultant. We didn't have an in-house building official. Our in-house building official came on in June of 2017, but we certainly weren't seeing the permit activity that we're seeing now, especially the commercial permit activity with the passage of the bond issue for the Shelton School District. So this is something that we did have in place before. If the building official takes a vacation or has an unfortunate incident, we want some backup so we can continue serving the public in this community.
Absolutely.
When would that start?
With your approval, this will be placed on the action agenda for the 17th, and then we would execute contracts at that time.
Very good. Okay.
Any other questions or comments from Mark? Hearing none, it appears that the commission concurs to place this supplementary building code services contract on the action agenda for April 17, 2018. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we're moving on into our action agenda portion of the meeting, and item number 1 is going to be our Associate Engineer Logan Brady.
Yeah, so with the Basin 3 sewer project kicking off, actually breaking ground this week, we wanted to bring forward a contract for materials testing. Materials testing is standard practice to ensure that the materials that are being used during construction are up to the standards and specifications that we require. We went out for request for proposal for materials testing specifically for the Basin 3 sewer project, and we received 2 proposals. We selected CTL, Construction Testing Laboratories, as the apparent winner of the bid, and we are hoping to get the contract signed with them. We have received it back today, signed from them.
We talked about this last week, and so this is the action agenda portion of this. And so we asked if anybody from the public signed in to speak on this issue.
We have no one signed up.
Okay? So do we have any more further questions or comments to Mr. Brady?
Have we used them before for anything?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay, and where are they from?
Oh, that's a good question.
Puyallup?
CTL.
Oh, Puyallup, okay,
Yeah, Puyallup, Washington.
okay,
Yeah.
very good.
Any other questions or comments?
Nope.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll give a motion. I move to approve the contract with Construction Testing Laboratories for the Basin 3 materials testing by authorizing the mayor to sign the contract once it's returned to the city.
I will second that.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much, sir. All right, item number 2 is a second reading and adoption of an ordinance, and we are going to be presented this to us by our interim financial director, Terry. That's all right.
Say your last name.
We can go on first name basis.
Test this week.
Trust me, I have a phobia about last names, so just bear with me, Terry, for a few years.
So, at the last meeting, I brought to you the water appeal process for the utility bills. Periodically, the finance department identifies ordinances that need to be updated, and we identified the appeal process for these water utility charges that we believe need to provide clear notice and an opportunity for the user to be heard. So through this appeal process, we wanted it to be extremely clear for the users as well as the staff, and we had identified a specific timeline and to follow, as well as who are the decision makers to the appeal. So we're asking for this to be.
And at this point, is there anybody signed in to speak about this?
We have no one
Okay.
signed up for public comment.
So do we have any questions or comments?
Have we always had it, are we just now instating an appeal process? Or-
No, there's always been an appeal, but this is a specific timeline and ways to how to get the process through the system.
Okay,
It's kind of like a housekeeping thing, kind of just
Yes.
updating our, make sure that all of our communications are clear and so that
Right, so,
it ends.
and it just provides a clear opportunity for the user to be heard.
Yeah.
okay,
Do you have any questions?
No.
that sounds good.
So, thank you very much, Terry. It looks like at this point, could I ask for a second reading of ordinance number 1918-0318?
Ordinance number 1918-0318, an ordinance of the City of Shelton, Washington relating to water service appeals, amending section 15.28.120 of the Shelton Municipal Code.
Is there a motion?
I will move to adopt ordinance 1918-0318. An ordinance of the City of Shelton, Washington relating to water service appeals, amending section 15.28.120 of the Shelton Municipal Code.
I second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And item number 3 is just about the same thing, only involving sewer, right?
Correct.
So, I think you have to do your presentation again.
Okay. So again, it's just identifying the appeal process for the sewer utility charges. And again, it's just identifying that it needs to provide a clear notice and an opportunity for the user to be heard. And again, is a clear timeline that has been identified, and that is easy to follow for both the user and the city.
Is there anybody signed up to speak on this?
We have no one
Okay.
signed up.
So is there any questions or comments for Terry about this?
No.
No, not for me.
Just following suit to make things more transparent and easier for the public.
Correct.
There you go. So, at this point, could we have a second reading of the ordinance 1919-0318?
Ordinance number 1919-0318, an ordinance of the City of Shelton, Washington, relating to sewer service appeals, amending section 14.28.090 of the Shelton Municipal Code.
Is there a motion to adopt?
I move to adopt ordinance number 1919-0318, an ordinance in the city of Shelton, Washington relating to sewer services appeals, amending section 14.28.090 of the Shelton Municipal Code.
I will second that.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
Next is item number 4, and that is going to be in our interim city manager, Vicki Look, is going to talk to us about recruiting a new city manager. So I'll turn the meeting over to her at this time.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. We talked to you a few weeks back about the need to go out and start a recruitment process for a new city manager. As you know, our previous manager left at the end of January, and I've been serving as the interim, and then we had Bob Jean come on as the assistant interim city manager. So we did go out and put a request for proposals out, and with a deadline of March 28th, and we sent them out to 7 different recruiters and received proposals back from 3 of those firms. You have received the proposals and I believe have had a time to review those. What it came down to is that the cost proposed was from Hoffman was around approximately $15,000. It was a little less than his normal fee. I believe that's because he's done a couple recruitments for us lately and thought that, proposing a bit of a reduction would be in order. Slavin, we received a proposal from them. It was $23,347.50. That would be total cost.
Not to exceed.
Not to exceed that amount. He does do a good job and has a pretty good record of recruiting. It would be a fresh process for us and maybe has a few different reaches out to folks that, we might get a bit different candidates in the pool. Waldron also submitted a proposal. His proposal was not to exceed this $26,000, and so came on at the little bit of a higher end of the 3 proposals. We think they could all do a good job for us, and so we were looking for the commission to review and have discussion. Bob has submitted a memo for you about the timeline and what that might look like, and so I've asked him to kind of present that to
Sure.
you, perhaps before you have discussion and make a decision on the recruitment firm.
Ready for that, Mr. Mayor?
Sure. Now, we want to keep this down to 3 hours, please, Bob.
3 hours between the 2 of us, that could be a problem.
Really?
No, the process that we've outlined for you is a 2-part process, getting the recruitment process going under the authority of the commission. But then by May 15, when we have the city council seated, let them take control of the process that actually will be the meat of the selection process. The one question that we've got is, other than who do you want us to be the recruiter, the other question is, you had already said at the May 8th March 8th workshop, was that the date of that? Anyway, our March workshop, you said, obviously wanted the 3 current commissioners to be interviewed. You said you wanted the 8 candidates to be interviewed, so that we wouldn't have to delay until we knew the results, and the key staff. The only other question is, did you want any members of the community as a part of that interview process? That's real, those are the 2 questions for the commission tonight. 1, who do you want as the recruiter? And 2, who do you want them to interview? And that will then lead to a job profile no later than the end of April. And then we should have that job profile and the salary information, all of that ready for the May 15 first city council meeting. And at that point, the council can say if that's the job profile you want to recruit for, then they'll open the position up and should have candidates, they'll close it sometime between the middle to late June, and then a meeting to say, okay, who are the finalists? And then we go from there. So for you tonight, 2 questions. Who do you want us to hire? And secondly, who do you want them to interview?
Well, I might be able to start this. It is from the beginning, when the city actually passed the proposition of a 7-person council, that I immediately put my hand on to do everything I could to make this transformation as streamlined and as easy and transparent as possible. And I think from my part, I've tried to do that. So I do think that if we take things too long, then it drags on and on and on. But so I think we're in a good position because we are looking tonight to pick one of these, and that from this point forward, the next group of the council and all of us will have the opportunity to interview and look for the new city manager. So we took that as we want to make sure everything is involved in the community. I don't know what the process would be on having a citizen review situation. Why don't you explain a little bit more about how that would work? Because I'm not sure how we would put that group together. I know on the other group, but how would that work if we
Well,
were...
honestly, and I outlined in this memo some choices, but as the current governing body of the commission, what I need you to do tonight is tell me who do you want to hire and who do you want that consultant to interview. Once you join your fellow colleagues, the other 4, and are the city council, then you're going to need to tell the recruiter at that point, how do you want to what extent, and how do you want to involve the community in the process? So there's choices there. The city has done different things in the past. You've had a community open house. You've had people of the community on a recruitment panel. There's a lot of options, but honestly, that's really the city council's decision at that point. So drawing the distinction between the commission and the council, I would say ask me in next month.
So, I'm sorry, so our decision that really is to pick the one of the 3. Yeah.
To pick one of the 3, and do you want any members of the community other than the candidates and staff in the current commission to be interviewed by the consultant?
Okay.
If, for example, you could say, and I'm just throwing this out hypothetically, you could say, well, I want him to talk to the school superintendent. I want him to talk to the head of the chamber. Those would be examples of people that you might say, I'd like, now, we don't want a long laundry list because we've only, got them for a couple days and they're going to have to talk to a lot of people. But so who do you want to hire and who do you want them to interview?
I do believe, Mayor, that the question is is there any members of the public we should interview? You would like us to do that to create the profile as we go forward.
We would come back with those names a little bit later.
To create the profile.
Right.
We would have time for that if you decide you want to do that.
I'm prepared to, on the first, picking the one of the 3, I'm prepared to do that tonight.
Yeah, I am too. I went through all 3 of the consultant, well, anyway, all 3 of them. And do we tell them now who we want?
I'm not sure, it's kind of a little different thing than, because we need to discuss, I guess, we've all looked at it, and we might have made our independent decisions, so I guess we could just go down and see where it lies, so.
Okay.
So you can be first.
I'll go first. I studied all three of them, and my bones and my heart and my mind all came to Slavin. Slavin?
Slavin, I think.
Slavin?
Either.
Either. And I won't publicly say why I chose that one, but that was the one I came to the conclusion would be a good one. Kind of in the middle of the road of the other two.
So Commissioner Dorsey,
Well, I also chose Slavin. I thought they put out a real good proposal. I think it's important that we have a new set of eyes on what our needs are and send us a new pool of candidates or applicants, probably from different parts of the state, but more importantly, different parts of the country. Some of the old ones may also apply that have applied before, but I think it's important that we get some new ones.
and has anybody signed up to speak about this?
We have no one signed up.
Okay. I also came with that decision that would be the best, Slavin would be the best group to deal with. And this is just the start. The 7-person council will be involved with the negotiations and their interviews and things like that. So, but I felt it's very important to get this thing moving soon. So it appears we all concur that our choice is that Slavin group. And at this point, is there any further discussion? We want to have a motion at this time?
Sure. I move to accept the recruitment proposal submitted by Slavin and authorize the interim city manager to negotiate the final terms of the agreement and approve on behalf of the Shelton City Commission.
I second that.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The choice has been made. All right, now we have our city manager to give us a little, maybe, update or report.
Not much of a report. I just want to mention that we do have a resolution to propose to the commission next week, and it has to do with terms that we approve through the negotiation process with our guild and unions, and that is that the city set up a health reimbursement account. And with that is the requirement that we bring that forward to you to adopt that resolution so we can set up the account and start to enroll employees who are interested in participating in that program. So we will be bringing that to you next week and asking for approval so that the adoption of the resolution so that we can start that and get that going with the April payroll. So.
All right, and
Any other touches from the staff?
I'll say this statement, and I have to 3 times think about, can I say this statement? So I'm just going to generically say that I'm very happy with the way that the city is moving forward and that we are preparing the way for a 7-person council, and that I hope that, everybody that gets involved with this process, because it's our city, and our city's only going to be as good as we get involved to make it a better place. So hopefully that's an okay statement. Our next meeting will be April 17th, 2018 at 7 p.m. This meeting here is adjourned.
Hey, Jamie?